Hi there, this is Jeanette for Whimsy Stamps, and today I have a Thanksgiving mini card to share with you. I have used the Whimsy clear stamp set Give Thanks to create this card, and just a few other components. I did color everything up with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, so I'll take you through that as well. So here's a stamp set. This is a watercolor paper I used. It's by Fabriano. I have linked a similar paper in the links below because I couldn't find it online. So I'm just using my Misty tool, and I lined up my stamps on the paper, and now I'm just stamping it with archival blank ink, which is a waterproof ink. You can't use your Memento for this because the Memento would run. And I'm just basically placing the stamps down and inking them. I find it easier to just ink a few at a time. In between, I'm just wiping them with baby wipes and replacing them back onto the clear acrylic paper that comes with the set so I don't lose them. For this pumpkin, I did have to stamp it again just to get a clear impression, and that's why I like using the Misty. If you make a mistake, you can often correct it by just restamping it. That one unfortunately did not work, so I did clean it off and restamp it up here at the top. So once those are all stamped, I'm going to start coloring them. So I'm listing the numbers of the markers I'm using on the top here. I also have a water tank brush here. I will use that occasionally. Since I've been increasing or collecting more and more markers, I find that I don't need the water so much because I have the lighter color markers. So I usually start with the darker color. I lay that down, and then I take the lighter color and I blend it a little bit, and then I just extend out to color the rest of the image. Here I will use a little bit of water because I don't have a lighter green color. And that just softens up the color, blends it out, and gives you a little bit of dimension. And I'll test out the colors over on the corner of my paper before I commit to using them on my image, just to see how they look. You can see it's really quick and easy, and these markers blend so beautifully on the watercolor paper. It is so pretty. Thought I'd zoom in a little bit for you. I'm going to color this little acorn. So again, I start with my darker color. This one I'm using 3 shades of marker. So I use that mid color. This is my light color. And I felt there wasn't enough contrast, so I went in with that medium color again and just blended it out. Going to use similar colors for the turkey. You see how nicely that blends. I have such a fun time when I use these Zig markers. They are so fun. I'm going to use a third color here that's pretty light and just blend away until I don't have any more lines. I'm going to do the body those same colors, and I'm going to be honest, I had to Google turkey to figure out what colors I wanted to color him. I wasn't sure, so I used Google. I just went in there with the mid color again because I felt there wasn't enough contrast. I'm going to be doing the hat here, so this is a black color. And then I'll go in with a lighter gray color, and then an even lighter one. Do the same thing here for the brim. So here I'm going in with some bright yellows and coloring the tail feathers here with those, and I'll just blend with a lighter yellow. When I first bought these markers, I bought a set of 24 because I wasn't sure if I was going to like them or how they were going to work. So if you just have a basic set or you just have a few markers, you can use water. That's what I would do. I'd use like one color and then I would lighten it up using a water tank brush or just a simple paintbrush to lighten up the color. What I've done now is I've been adding to my collection, so filling in the places where I needed some lighter colors or some darker colors. So that's certainly something that you might consider doing. I'm just going to take a multi-liner here and darken up the eyes. I'm going to do that for all the images. I want to share with you how I colored the pumpkin. I was really happy with the tone of orange I got. I ended up using like a red marker first, and then this orange marker, and then a yellow one. And I really liked the color that gave the pumpkin. If you didn't want to have the little faces, I think they're really cute, but if you didn't want to have the little faces, you could certainly wipe them off with a baby wipe after you inked up the stamp, and then they wouldn't be there. So that's another way that this stamp set is so versatile. It can be really cute and whimsical, and you can remove the faces if you want something a little bit more elegant. So I'm just checking how the images are going to look once I create my card. I'm going to be cutting a card base here, so this is going to be 3.5 by 7. I'll then score that in the middle at 3.5, and I'll have a nice square card base that will fit the frame that I'm going to cut out. To create that frame, I'm using the largest and the second largest die from that set, and I'll just position them so that they're even all the way around, and then I'll put some post-it tape there just to hold them in place so that when I'm running it through the big shot, they don't shift or move. So now you see I have this nice thin little frame here. I used Ranger adhesive foam because it's quite thin, and when I cut it in half, it was the perfect width for my frame. Although in hindsight, I had a little bit of trouble with the white sort of showing through a little bit. I sort of had to sort of push it in a little bit and sort of fuss with it a little bit. So I think if I were to do this again with dark cardstock, I might try to find some dark fun foam, and then it wouldn't be such a contrast to what I'm using. So here you can see the white a little bit, so I'm just sort of pushing it in a little bit. I decided to stamp the sentiment on the inside here, so I'm going to emboss it actually. It is so pretty. So I'm using some Versamark here. I'll stamp it in the center. I'm going to be using my favorite gold embossing powder. This is by Wow. It's such a pretty color. Just tapping off the excess, and then I heated it with my heat tool. Then I thought, you know, it might be kind of cute to have that sentiment in the front, and even though the words will be covered, it just sort of gives a little bit of embellishment behind the turkey. So I ended up doing that. I was a little worried that the embossing powder might stick to my fun foam or my foam adhesive, but in the end it didn't stick at all, so that was pretty lucky. I think it would have been better to do it before I put the frame on. So the last thing to do was just to use my Xyron tool here to adhere everything down, and you can see my finished card. This is the front, and then you can see the inside. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my little mini Thanksgiving card. A full list of supplies and links can be found below this video on YouTube or on my blog.